Hey everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing Batman: The Dark Knight, issue number 5. Take a look at this comic cover right here. Now, where we last left off on Batman: The Dark Knight, our Caped Crusader was out trying to find who was the culprit releasing this venomous steroid drug into Gotham. No pun intended with the venomous part. We really don't have a name for this drug yet, but it's really just similar to Venom. It makes the individual that takes it incredibly large, incredibly powerful, but it also puts them in a state of rage and also makes them start to bleed out of their face. Anyways, Batman's trail has led him to a small little house which has the Scarecrow in it. And the majority of the issue is Batman battling the Scarecrow. Now, the funny fact is that at this point in Batman's life, he's fought the Scarecrow so much that he is basically immune to the fear toxin. It may shake him up a little, but for the most part, Batman can fight it. He's used to it. I think the best example of this was in Batman Face to Face when him and Robin were beating up Scarecrow, and there were hallucinations all around them. Batman's like, they're fake. They're not going to bother me. However, Scarecrow seems to be upping his game a bit, and instead of just using the hallucinogenic aerosol attack with the fear toxin, he also has hypnotic eyes. I don't know if they're lenses or whatever, but he's using hypnotism to get at Batman. And while Batman can fight his hypnotism, it's kind of hard to fight two different attacks on two different fronts, the fear toxin and the hypnotism, and it's starting to get to him. It sounds a little silly. I mean, Scarecrow, like Hypno from Pokemon with his little medallion trying to hypnotize Batman, but no, it's more or less like he's sending waves through his eyes and he's trying to hypnotize Batman. And he actually gives Batman a great run for his money, to the point that he injects Batman with the venomous toxic material, which causes Batman to go jacked. And Scarecrow kind of runs away. Now here's where things get interesting. Batman is injected with the serum and he is becoming incredibly jacked and muscular and powerful. And who shows up? None other than the Man of Steel, Superman himself. Superman tries to help Batman, but what happens when the Man of Steel has to contend with someone that is, well, pretty darn strong? Just gonna have to read and see. So let's get into the good, the bad, and whether or not you should get it. Good. I felt for the most part that Jonathan Crane, the Scarecrow, was handled well here. One of the things about the Scarecrow is he's really kind of lost his touch because Batman is immune to the fear toxin. I like how the concept of him having hypnotic eyes adds to that, allows us to have another weapon that the Scarecrow can use against the Batman. And it's not like Scarecrow actually outright beats Batman, although he gives Batman a run for his money. He kind of buggers off, so he's able to escape. In addition to that, Batman becoming incredibly muscular and fighting Superman, though it is kind of cliche because we've had Superman versus Batman before multiple times, it was handled for the most part pretty well. Neither character overshadowed the other one. On one hand, Batman is, just out of control and he's going crazy on Superman, but it gives the excuse for Superman to beat up Batman and not be morally, have a moral dilemma behind it. So the Batman-Superman thing isn't bad. Again, a little cliche because it's been done before, but it was handled for the most part very well. The dialogue in this was pretty good, and the cliffhanging was also pretty good too. Bad. Like I said, the Superman thing was a little cliche. This is kind of a Brave and the Bold story, in a way. I'll get into that a little bit more on whether or not you should get it. But Superman showing up, at least this early on in the comic, I think it would have been cool if we had another superhero go in, especially with Batman becoming incredibly jacked and big. He may be strong, but he's not Superman strong. It would have been better if he went up against someone like Cyborg, or went up against someone like Green Lantern, which would have been interesting. But it would not have quite the same effect at the end of what happens to Batman than if Superman did it. So, yeah, other than that, it's just a little cliche on how Superman just comes in. That, and I feel as though with so much happening in this story, we kind of lose track of what's actually going on. I had to remind myself what the main plot of the story is. I had to be like, Andrew, remember, Batman went to investigate an outbreak in Arkham, which led him to follow the trail of this venomous stuff to Poison Ivy, which then makes him follow it to Scarecrow. I had to remind myself. The story just doesn't leave a great imprint on your mind. You may be caught up in the issue, but the overall story arc isn't kind of resonating the way I wanted to. Whether or not you should get it. Interesting thing about Batman the Dark Knight is that it started off the worst of the DC New 52. Issue 1 and even Issue 2 were not good at all. Issue 3 and 4 pick things up, and it seems to be getting a little bit better with issue number 5. It's definitely not the best of the Batman stories out there from the 4 main Batman titles with Bruce in it. But I don't think it's because it's necessarily horrible, although it's definitely not necessary. I think it's just because it's overshadowed by the fantastic material that we're getting from Tony Daniel, from Scott Snyder, and also from Peter J. Tomasi. David Finch is trying something here, but I'm not exactly sure what he's trying. I stated before, it was interesting because in PM Night 12's video response of my What I Am Thinking DC Second Wave, he said that this is kind of a Brave and the Bold Batman comic. And in a way it is, because random people kind of throw in, and it has kind of a Brave and the Bold touch to it. But if David Finch was going into that direction, he's handling it the wrong way. Let me explain Brave and the Bold 2. For those of you that aren't big comic book enthusiasts, Brave and the Bold was a comic done back up, and I believe it started in the 50s or the 60s with DC Comics. And basically what it would do is take team-ups between two different comic book franchises that they have. So it could be Green Lantern teaming with Flash, Wonder Woman teaming with, I don't know, Conan the Barbarian, Superman teaming with Martian Manhunter, Batman teaming with Aquaman. Random stuff like that. It could be anything. It could be Robin teaming up with Jay Garrick. They were just team-ups for the sake of having team-ups. They were one-issue team-ups. Eventually, towards the 70s, the comic took a turn, and it became Batman Brave and the Bold team-ups, which were actually all put in the Showcase Presents material, where they were still team-ups, but Batman was always part of the team. If they're trying to go with that direction here, with Dark Knight, they need to handle it a little bit differently. Maybe have it be an individual issue for each story as a team-up. Having random guest stars in there just feels, I don't know, unnatural, for lack of a better term. But I'm kind of rambling on here. Let's get to the actual verdict. On the whole, Batman the Dark Knight was actually an enjoyable experience. I enjoyed myself. There were a few faults here and there, but I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. It was fun, and the series is getting a little bit better. It's just a shame that its faults are pretty evident, and they are things that can get in the way of enjoying a full experience from this. So, at least it's getting better, and hopefully it gets to the point that it gets so much better that it actually becomes a really good series. We'll see, but for now it is still the weakest of the Batman comics. But I will give props to David Finch. At least he's trying to stand out in the... I mean, it's hard to stand out when you have 4 Batman titles out there. But yes, 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is Andrew saying, peace out for now.